what we're going to do, we're going to restructure all the folders so we can make it suitable for designing the Umicom framework. Just to make you familiar, if you're not aware of this, there's something called a Java Enterprise Edition, and they have certain standards, certain conventions on how things are structured. For example, this folder, Java, this is where you would put all the Java files, all the objects and so on. So you do all that, and then you have another folder here called Web App, and here is where you will place the JSPs, HTML files, cascaded style sheets, all the stuff for the client side. So it's web applications. Now what we're going to do, we're going to redesign this whole thing, so bear with me, it's going to work at the end, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just close these down. I'm going to make that basically this folder. I'm going to put everything inside it. I'm going to put all the Java, all the the framework, everything inside here. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to create two folders, two distinct folders. So now we have two folders, application and Umicom framework. Now inside the application folder is where we're going to have the application that we're building. So for example, we're going to build Umicom commodity exchange or commodity marketplace, or if we're going to build an e-commerce site or something like that, we're going to build it here. And all the stuff related to the framework, so all the stuff, the main engine and all that stuff, right, that we're not going to touch on a day-to-day basis, we're going to put it inside the Umicom framework. So for example, if we go to the application, we're going to create a few more folders, and I'm going to create a folder called home, and inside home I'm going to create three folders: model, view, controller. So we'll create these three folders, model, view, controller, and now inside the controller is what we're going to have, what I termed as a slave controller. And in here we're going to have all the models related to this component or this module called home, which is going to deal with just the visual side, the client side, and anything related to JavaScript libraries and all that stuff we're going to place it inside the Umicom framework, because we don't really need to put jQuery library in here and JavaScript and all that stuff. We're going to place it somewhere far away, so it's all very loosely coupled. Now what we're going to do, we're going to create another folder just to illustrate. Actually the best way to do this is maybe just copy this, copy it, and then paste, and just give it a different name. We call it register. We could do that same again, paste, and call it market. So now what we have here is we've got three folders: home, market, and register. If we open that, you can see that we have the structures inside it. Okay, so that's very easy so far. Inside the Umicom framework folder, we're going to create a few folders here. We're going to create the boot folder. We're going to create controller. This is where we're going to have the master controller. And we're going to create another folder. I'm going to call it resources. We deal with the easiest first, so resources. So what I'm going to do in resources, I'm going to create all the folders that we need in here. For example, the cascade style sheets, this is the styling of the site. We're going to create another folder called images. Create another folder called JavaScript or JS. And finally what we're going to do, we're going to create another folder, and I'm going to call it views. Okay, and inside the views I'm going to have a folder, and I'll call it HTML, and we can do another folder as well. Let's create another folder called JSP. Okay, so inside here we're going to have different things. Anything that's HTML we're going to put it in this folder, anything the JSP we're going to put it in this folder. We can have a number of other folders as well if we've got different types of views. that we would like to use. Right, so that was the easy part. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do some coding. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to move that section here, the application.java, into here, and the servlet initializer, let's see what that is. Okay, now we've moved it into the boot, so now we've got application and servlet initializer. And what we're going to do, we're going to actually remove this one here, the Java folder, or at least we're going to remove it from here. But before we do that, so the application would work, what we need to do is we need to create a different class path. So the way to do class paths, we just right click on here, properties, so look at this, Java class paths. Now what we're going to do, we're going to remove this one. Okay, so we're going to add another folder, and this time what we're going to do is we're going to add, here's the folder which is called web app. We'll just keep that as it is for now, and we'll say okay, and let's see what it's done. It's created it up here as well, the Java resources, and we've got all the stuff here. Now it's throwing an error because we've already got these things here and we've got that there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this completely, and we're going to change the package declaration. So now it's going to be Umicom Framework.boot, which is this and that, and the next one as well. What we're going to do, we need to change that as well. So click on here where it's got that red X, and just say change declaration to the correct one, which is Umicom Framework.boot. And once I save it, it should clear all these error messages, like so. It's cleared it, and now we go to test. Let's see what's complained about here. And here is saying, right, we're saying classes, and here you go, that's cleared as well. Right, so the whole application looks fine, and it should still be running. Just to test that, what we're going to do, we're going to stop the server, and we're going to try it again. We don't expect anything different from what we've got before, because we didn't add any new files or anything. All we've done was just restructured the entire application. We still didn't create the master controller. We'll do that next.